Some hoaxes didn't fool a few people, they fooled the whole country. Today, 33 dumb hoax mistakes America kept falling for, on repeat. A scientific moon discovery fooled readers, and a Martian invasion scared listeners. And some scams weren't monsters, they were CEOs in suits. Stay for number 33. The last one is insane. The Great Moon Hoax claimed cities and life. In 1835, Americans stared skyward and swore the moon had life. A New York newspaper ran reports, supposedly from astronomer John Herschel. The writer, Richard Adams Locke, described bat people and temples. He added sapphire oceans and unicorn-like beasts roaming lunar valleys. Readers clipped the articles, argued in bars, and demanded more installments. Scientists groaned, but the story used real telescopes and jargon. When skepticism grew, the paper blamed a fire for missing proof. Herschel never endorsed it, and Locke later admitted the prank. Still, it taught America how easily science shaped good fiction. 2. War of the Worlds broadcast sparked real panic nationwide. On a 1938 night, some listeners believed Martians had landed nearby. Orson Welles performed War of the Worlds as a radio drama. It sounded like breaking news, with interruptions and urgent announcers. The setting shifted to Grover's Mill, New Jersey, not Hollywood. Sound effects mimicked explosions, sirens, and reporters coughing from gas. Many missed the opening disclaimer and tuned in mid-story. Police stations got calls, and some churches held sudden prayer meetings. Newspapers later exaggerated panic, but the confusion was still real. Welles woke up famous, and America learned audio-can trick. 3. The Cardiff Giant petrified man that fooled America. In 1869, crowds paid to see a 10-foot stone man. Workers digging a well on William Newell's farm hit the giant. Promoters called it a petrified ancient, and people argued Bible history. Behind it all, atheist prankster George Hull hired sculptors secretly. He buried the statue for months, then arranged the dramatic discovery. Scientists tested chisel marks, while preachers preached and tickets sold. Showman Phineas Taylor Barnum offered to buy it, then copied. A lawsuit claimed the fake giant's rights, which is hilarious. Hull finally admitted the hoax, but the legend never died. 4. P.T. Barnum's Fiji Mermaid became a national sensation. Barnum's Little Mermaid made respectable adults line up and gasp. In the 1840s, he displayed a creature supposedly caught near Fiji. It looked like a tiny corpse, half fish and half monkey. Barnum used a fake doctor and posters to sell the story. Viewers expected a Disney beauty, then met a wrinkled nightmare. The specimen actually came from Japanese taxidermy, stitched with thread. Skeptics argued loudly, which only packed the room even tighter. Barnum never needed you to believe, only to pay. America learned showmanship can outmuscle truth when curiosity wins. 5. The Roswell alien autopsy film fooled millions on TV. Millions watched grainy surgery footage and thought aliens were real. In the mid-1990s, producer Ray Santilli sold an autopsy film. He claimed it was shot after the 1947 Roswell crash. Scenes showed scissors, organs, and strange symbols on debris pieces. Questions piled up about camera stock, lighting, and missing paperwork. Under pressure, Santilli said parts were reconstruction, not original. Even then, believers argued the real film was hidden elsewhere. It proved a convincing prop can travel faster than evidence. 6. The Amityville horror turned a hoax into legend. A quiet Long Island house became a money-printing nightmare story. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his family inside 112 Ocean Avenue. A year later, George and Kathy Lutz moved in with kids. They lasted about 28 days, reporting odors, flies, and voices. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren visited, fueling bigger claims. Neighbors noticed normal lights, while the Luxes described demonic chaos. Later lawsuits and interviews suggested exaggeration, coaching, and cash motives. But the image stuck, a haunted Dutch colonial with those windows. Amityville shows how tragedy can invite legends to rent space. 7. Bigfoot's Patterson-Gimlin film convinced a generation. One shaky walk through the trees created Bigfoot's most famous face. In 1967, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin rode near Bluff Creek. They spotted a tall figure, and Patterson jumped off fast. The camera whirred, catching the creature turning and looking back. Supporters point to swinging arms, footprints, and muscle movement details. Skeptics say it was a suit, maybe worn by Bob Hieronymus. Arguments exploded because the film is short, silent, and ambiguous. Patterson died soon after, leaving questions without an easy witness. Decades later, that sideways glance still dares you to decide. 8. The Loch Ness surgeon's photo fold, decades of believers. That single black hump photo turned Nessie into a global celebrity. In 1934, a London doctor, Robert Kenneth Wilson, presented the picture. It showed a long neck rising from dark water, perfectly mysterious. Newspapers printed it everywhere, and tourists swarmed Scotland's Loch Ness. Years later, insiders admitted it was a model on a toy submarine. The prank traced back to Marmaduke Wetherall, embarrassed by earlier claims. They used a cutout head, then photographed it close. The name surgeon's photo sounded authoritative, which made doubts quieter. Even debunked, the image still sells souvenirs and late-night theories. 9. Piltdown Man, the fake, missing link scientists accepted. For decades, a fake skull shaped how scientists imagined human origins. In 1912, amateur archaeologist Charles Dawson announced bones from Piltdown, England. He and museum scientist Arthur Smith Woodward presented a strange mixture. The cranium seemed human, but the jaw looked ape-like. Britain loved the idea of an ancient English ancestor named Eoanthropus. Researchers built theories, ignored contradictions, and argued with German fossils. In 1953, chemical tests showed staining, filed teeth, and mismatched ages. The jaw came from an orangutan, and the skull was recent. Piltdown proved nationalism can sneak into science wearing a lab coat. 10. The Cottingley fairies photos tricked the famous and curious. Two Yorkshire girls fooled adults into believing fairies lived nearby. In 1917, Elsie Wright and Frances Griffiths borrowed a camera. They posed by Cottingley Beck, surrounded by tiny winged dancers. The secret was simple: paper cutouts held upright with hat pins. Photographic experts said the negatives looked real, so believers leaned in. Arthur Conan Doyle promoted the pictures, eager for proof of magic. Skeptics asked why fairies posed so politely, like studio models. Decades later, the women admitted the trick, though one hedged slightly. Those photos still remind us hope can be an easy filter. 11. Balloon Boy hoax had America glued to live TV. Helicopters chased a silver balloon while America feared a child inside. In 2009 Colorado, Richard and Mayumi Heen called police in panic. They said 6-year-old Falcon floated away in a homemade craft. Live cameras followed it across fields, climbing higher with the wind. Then Falcon was found safe, hiding in the family attic. A hot mic caught talk of doing it for a show. Authorities pushed questions, and the parents' story started wobbling fast. The Heenies later pleaded guilty, saying the stunt was misguided. It became a lesson. Spectacle plus kids equals instant national attention. 12. The Blair Witch Project marketing fooled early internet viewers. People left theaters asking if 3 students truly disappeared in woods. In 1999, filmmakers Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez released Blair Witch. They framed it as found footage from Maryland's Black Hills forest. Web pages and flyers treated Heather Donahue like a missing person. The actors stayed hidden so the illusion could breathe longer. Festival buzz spread rumors, and viewers filled gaps with imagination. Then interviews revealed a scripted project shot with shaky handheld cameras. The twist worked because the internet was younger and less cynical. It showed marketing can build mythology faster than any monster. 13. Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme fooled Wall Street giants. When Madoff fell, charities collapsed, and retirees lost everything overnight. Bernie Madoff ran a trusted investment firm in Manhattan for years. He promised steady gains, like a metronome, even during market storms. Behind the curtain, deposits from new clients paid older clients. In 2008, his sons Mark and Andrew heard the confession. They reported him, and federal agents arrived as the story exploded. Victims included celebrities, universities, and small investors who trusted friends. His fake account statements looked clean because he controlled every detail. The hoax wasn't magic, just patience and people wanting certainty. 14. Theranos blood test claims fooled investors and the media. A tiny blood drop promise nearly rewrote healthcare, then imploded. In Silicon Valley, Elizabeth Holmes pitched Theranos as revolutionary testing. She claimed machines could run hundreds of tests from finger pricks. Her partner Sunny Belwani helped run operations behind closed doors. Big names invested, and pharmacies partnered, expecting faster, cheaper lab results. Inside, devices struggled, and staff used traditional analyzers to cope. Employees who raised alarms met secrecy rules and sharp legal pressure. When scrutiny hit, the Edison machine story unraveled in public trials. Theranos proved a confident founder can borrow trust like unlimited credit. 15. Enron's numbers game fooled America's biggest analysts. Enron went from Texas superstar to punchline almost overnight. In Houston, Kenneth Lay and Jeffrey Skilling sold a new energy future. Their numbers looked amazing because accounting became a magic show. CFO Andrew Fastow built partnerships that hid debt off the books. Traders joked about shortages, while executives cashed out stock quietly. Analysts kept recommending shares, trusting spreadsheets instead of reality. Then whistleblowers and investigators pulled threads, and the fabric tore. Employees watched pensions vanish as bankruptcy hit and offices emptied. The hoax was corporate, but the damage landed on regular people. 16. The fake Howard Hughes autobiography duped top publishers. A fake autobiography almost rewrote Howard Hughes's life for profit. Writer Clifford Irving claimed he had Hughes's blessing for a book. Irving and Richard Susskind forged letters using shaky handwriting samples. A major publisher paid a huge advance, thrilled by exclusivity. The trick relied on Hughes being a recluse, silent and unreachable. Bank accounts and Swiss middlemen moved money, leaving a messy trail. Then the real Hughes phoned reporters, denying everything in anger. Investigators compared signatures and uncovered a web of fabricated documents. Irving went to prison, and Hughes stayed mysterious anyway. 17. Mark Hofmann's salamander letter. Forgery shook a church. A forged letter sparked panic, then bombs exposed the real scam. In the early 1980s, Mark Hofmann sold rare Mormon documents. His salamander letter painted Joseph Smith's origins with folk magic vibes. Church leaders and collectors paid big because it seemed authentic. Hofmann used old paper, clever ink, and historical details. When contradictions tightened, 2 package bombs hit Salt Lake City. A third bomb injured Hofmann, turning suspicion straight toward him. Forensic tests revealed cut and pasted inks, and the empire collapsed. 18. The Vinland map claimed Vikings reached America first. A single map seemed to prove Vikings drew America before Columbus. The Vinland map surfaced in the mid-20th century with big claims. It showed Greenland, Europe, and a western land labeled Vinland. Scholars debated its parchment, its Latin notes, and its mysterious ink. Supporters said it matched Norse sagas and medieval geography patterns. Critics focused on ink chemistry, especially modern-looking titanium traces. The debate bounced for decades because tests and interpretations kept shifting. Even today, museums show it carefully, with caveats and questions. It's a perfect relic for argument lovers, not certainty seekers. 19. The Kensington runestone sparked a Viking America myth. A carved stone in Minnesota suggested medieval Vikings reached the Midwest. In 1898, Swedish immigrant Olof Oman claimed he found it near Kensington. The inscription described Norse explorers and a deadly attack during a journey. Locals loved the romance, and the stone toured like a celebrity. Experts argued the runes looked wrong, with suspicious modern word choices. Supporters pointed to Scandinavian settlers and claimed secret old knowledge survived. The fight became cultural, mixing pride, identity, and academic gatekeeping. No matter the verdict, the stone still draws crowds in Minnesota. Sometimes a hoax lasts because people want ancestors to surprise. 20. The Fox sisters started spiritualism with fake spirit knocks. A few mysterious knocks launched a national obsession with talking spirits. In 1848, sisters Maggie and Kate Fox lived in Hydesville, New York. They claimed a murdered peddler was rapping answers through the walls. Neighbors gathered, counted knocks, and spread the story across towns. Their older sister Leah managed tours, turning seances into paying events. The girls used toe-cracking tricks, but audiences heard supernatural music. Spiritualism societies formed fast, mixing grief, hope, and stagecraft. Years later, Maggie admitted it publicly, then later walked it back. By then, the movement was bigger than the trick itself. 21. Frederick Cook's North Pole. Claim fooled sponsors and press. One man's polar triumph became a decades-long argument over ice. Explorer Frederick Cook said he reached the North Pole in 1908. He traveled with 2 Inuit men, using dogs, sleds, and grit. Back home, sponsors cheered, and Cook lectured like a conquering hero. Then Robert Peary announced his own pole claim and attacked Cook. Cook's original navigation notes vanished, and his photos looked suspicious. Supporters argued Peary had motives, while critics demanded solid proof. Investigations later suggested Cook likely stopped short, somewhere on the ice. The pole stayed cold, but reputations melted faster than snow. 22. Crystal skulls fooled museums with a made-up mystery. Glittering crystal skulls convinced people of ancient curses and powers. Collectors claim they came from Maya or Aztec ruins in Mexico. One famous skull was linked to Anna Mitchell Hedges and adventure stories. The quartz looked flawless, with teeth and eye sockets carved sharply. Mystics said it hummed with energy, and crowds treated it sacredly. But experts studied tool marks and found modern rotary grinding patterns. Provenance stories shifted, with auctions and dealers filling missing history gaps. Museums reclassified several skulls as 19th century creations, not relics. They're still beautiful, just less Indiana Jones and more workshop. 23. The Hitler Diaries hoax duped editors around the world. Supposed Hitler diaries nearly rewrote history, until ink betrayed them. In 1983, reporter Gerd Heidemann bought notebooks claimed from a crash. The seller was forger Konrad Kujau, posing as a careful dealer. The diaries included Nazi gossip, signatures, and mundane notes about meals. Editors rushed the scoop, paying huge sums and planning dramatic releases. Then historians noticed odd handwriting and anachronistic details slipping through. Lab tests found modern chemicals in paper inconsistent with 1940s Germany. Kujau confessed, Heidemann fell, and lawsuits rolled across Europe. It was a reminder that desire for exclusives can blind experts. 24. The Sokal hoax paper exposed academic nonsense in print. A physics professor proved nonsense can pass if it flatters editors. In 1996, Alan Sokal wrote a paper packed with fashionable jargon. He argued scientific reality was mostly a social construction, not evidence. The article quoted big thinkers, but the logic was intentionally broken. A cultural studies journal published it, treating it as serious scholarship. Soon after, Sokal revealed the prank, and academics started sweating. Defenders said it was unfair, while critics called it needed hygiene. The fight spilled beyond campuses into bookstores and dinner conversations. Sokal's stunt became a mirror, showing weaknesses in gatekeeping. 25. A Million Little Pieces memoir that wasn't true. A best-selling addiction memoir collapsed when readers learned key scenes were fake. Writer James Fry described brutal rehab and crime in vivid detail. The book was sold as true, and millions connected emotionally fast. He wrote about jail time, train wreck violence, and near-death moments. Fact-checkers later found court records and timelines did not match. Public pressure grew after Oprah Winfrey endorsed it, then confronted him. Frey admitted exaggerations, saying he remembered feelings more than facts. Readers felt betrayed, publishers changed labels, and lawsuits followed. It showed how memoir can blur when pain becomes a brand. 26. J.T. LeRoy fake author persona fooled celebrities. A mysterious teenage author became famous, then vanished into a costume. J.T. LeRoy seemed like a young survivor writing raw novels. Celebrities praised the voice, and readings felt like confessions on stage. The real writer was Laura Albert, crafting the persona from behind. Public appearances were done by Savannah Knoop, wearing wigs and sunglasses. Interviews happened through phone calls, emails, and handlers who controlled access. Rumors spread because facts did not line up with documents. When the mask dropped, fans argued whether the books changed. It was literary theater, powered by identity, empathy, and hype. 27. Sybil multiple personality. Story turned out mostly invented. Sybil's story made America fear hidden personalities inside ordinary people. The patient was Shirley Ardo Mason, treated by psychiatrist Cornelia Wilbur. Writer Flora Schreiber turned therapy sessions into a blockbuster book. Sybil was said to have many identities, triggered by childhood trauma. Television adaptations spread the idea, making diagnosis feel suddenly common. Later researchers found notes suggesting suggestion, coaching, and unreliable memories. Mason's life showed pressure to perform symptoms that satisfied expectations. Wilbur pursued fame and certainty, while critics questioned ethics and evidence. The case remains famous, but it's far less clear-cut. 28. The face on Mars was just shadows and hype. A blurry Martian mesa became a face, and conspiracy engines revved. In 1976, NASA's Viking 1 photographed Cydonia with strange light angles. One frame showed a hill that looked like eyes and a mouth. Some claimed ancient builders made monuments, like a cosmic Mount Rushmore. Scientists said it was pareidolia, the brain seeing faces in noise. Years later, sharper images from Mars orbiters showed an ordinary mesa. Different sun angles erased the face, proving shadows were doing work. Still, the first picture spread widely because mystery fits easy. It's a classic lesson. Low resolution plus hope equals aliens. 29. Gulf Breeze UFO photos convinced many before being debunked. A Florida town became a UFO hotspot, powered by Polaroid drama. In the late 1980s, Ed Walters showed photos from Gulf Breeze. His images showed a bright saucer hovering over rooftops and pine trees. Neighbors reported sightings too, and local investigators filmed excited meetings. Skeptics noticed the craft looked similar in every shot, like a prop. After Walters moved, a small UFO model was found inside. He denied it, while critics matched the model's shape to photos. The argument split the community, with believers and debunkers at war. Gulf Breeze showed how a few pictures can rewrite a town. 30. Crop circles were a prank that went worldwide. Mysterious wheat patterns sparked alien theories, until pranksters laughed. In southern England, circles appeared overnight in fields during the 1980s. Pilots spotted them, farmers raged, and tourists arrived with cameras. Researchers measured stems and claimed microwaves, vortices, or spacecraft landing marks. Two men, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley, knew the boring truth. They admitted making circles as a joke using simple tools. Once media attention hit, copycats joined in, escalating designs wildly. Some formations became complex art, keeping believers hoping for mystery. The prank outgrew its creators. Like graffiti, nobody can erase. 31. The Bermuda Triangle craze turned accidents into myth. A patch of ocean became famous for vanishings, even without new evidence. Writers called it the Bermuda Triangle, between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Stories focused on Flight 19, Navy planes lost after training. Another favorite was USS Cyclops, a huge ship that vanished. Charles Berlitz popularized the mystery, stacking incidents into a spooky narrative. Maps and timelines often got tweaked, making ordinary storms seem supernatural. Coast Guard records showed many cases had explanations or wrong locations. But the Triangle brand stuck because it turns math into horror. It's less a place, more a storytelling machine with waves. 32. The Philadelphia experiment story became a never-ending legend. A Navy ship supposedly vanished, and the rumor never stopped teleporting. The tale centers on the USS Eldridge during World War II. It claimed the Navy tested invisibility, then the ship reappeared elsewhere. Sailors were said to suffer bizarre effects, which made the story darker. The main source was Carlos Allende, also called Carl Allen. He sent letters full of wild physics, mixing fact with fantasy. Navy records and crew statements never supported teleportation or invisibility tests. Yet movies and books kept recycling it, like a haunted photocopy. The experiment's real power was imagination, not any electricity. 33. Dihydrogen monoxide scare made people fear plain water. People signed petitions to ban a chemical, not realizing it was water. The name dihydrogen monoxide sounds lethal because it hides plain H2O. Pranksters listed true facts. It causes corrosion and suffocation in large doses. They added that it's used in pesticides, industry, and nuclear plants. Students and adults read the list, then panicked at the scientific tone. Some surveys found many respondents supported restrictions after hearing only the name. When revealed as water, reactions ranged from laughter to embarrassment. It's a simple reminder that jargon can short-circuit common sense. If words can fool you, imagine what charts can do.